Good evening and welcome to the Walt Weekly Review with Robinson. I am Ernest Robinson. Brief background on me. I States Marine veteran, served 25 years ago, 5 years in the reserves, including inactive reserves and selective Marine Corps reserves. Had a break for about 11 years. Served as Congressional Relations Officer, Legislative Associate, served as a Benefits Advisor for veterans in the Soldier for Life TAP program, Transition Assistance Program, Personal Professional Development Advisor, public speaker, now recently serving in the Army National Guard, where I provide funeral services for the state in which I live. So, a couple of things that have happened within the news for pretty much that has taken the headlines for this month, as well as even in this week. We have the attacks on Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine. Russia has continued to attack there. I don't see where the United States currently is offering the support necessary to being able to quell any further attacks, either from Ukraine to Russia or from Russia to Ukraine. Although this month, both President Putin as well as President Zelensky have visited the United States, visited the President of the United States, to being able to talk about negotiations, to being able to have a ceasefire and find peaceful resolutions. It does not seem that that is something that we are going to see within the near future, especially with the fact that there's been, I think with the last attack, there were about 19 that were killed. We're talking about women and children. So having been in war, having been in combat, it's not something that we want to do or subject ourselves to, and utilizing diplomacy is probably one of the best ways to being able to get anything resolved. Next thing in the news, we have the fact that DC is still currently being occupied and dealing with immigration or dealing with those who are being accused of being migrants. And now we also have the continued involvement with the United States military, i.e. the National Guard, that's in D.C., and then the Marines who were deployed to California. This is not the most efficient way of being able to utilize our resources. It undermines the authority of local law enforcement. It also subjects U.S. military service members who are not trained in community policing, so therefore causing continuous conflict, chaos, and confusion in already troubled area. I think there are better ways for us to being able to address some of the ills that are affecting some of these areas. And finding more peaceful resolutions. In addition, utilizing the military in a way that is not inherent to the mission of those who are serving. We are finding soldiers who are being used for area beautification, which is also then undermining jobs that could have been handled by citizens of that community. So not only are we utilizing tax dollars to being able to pay a large amount for all of the service members who are occupying DC right now, we are also taking resources away from those within the community who otherwise would have been able to work and earn those dollars to being able to care for their families, and that money staying within that community. Kind of an incongruent action that is taking place. Recently, CDC director had been fired amid a staff revolt. Also, there was a shooting in which they are now asking, or Secretary Kennedy is asking for the staff to return back to the office. And it doesn't seem clear whether or not if there was counseling that was extended to the staff or some type of not just an acknowledgement of what took place, but a plan just to keep everyone safe and to make everyone have confidence to being able to return back to work. In Minneapolis, there was another school shooting. There's been a lot of discussions around, this continuous discussion around guns I guess to me, it has not reached a point to where we're coming to any type of common ground, like, again, increased background checks, red flags that should be at least acknowledged by whomever may be selling the gun or ammunition. Just better care for our communities, but we're continuously having these shootings in churches, in schools, grocery stores, movie theaters. And again, we're not moving in a direction to being able to quell that, to being able to provide, whether it's mental health resources, whether they are just everyday resources, whatever our community, our people need, to being able to sustain themselves and to mitigate as much as possible any particular violence. Other news that's happened recently this week and that have maybe not have been in the headlines quite as much would be the health of the President of the United States. There have been reports of some type of abnormalities with the veins within the President of the United States that could have potential cardiac issues. And while there has not really been a lot of transparency, the press secretary continues to try and tout a position of strength and that there's nothing or nothing newsworthy about the President of the United States. And I do believe that those things are quite important for there to be transparency is one thing, but I think there should be a level of honesty when we're talking about the sharing of this type of information. And the last thing I wanted to briefly touch on was the funeral honors that this administration has extended to Ashley Babbitt. And for those who are not familiar with Ashley Babbitt is an Air Force veteran who broke into the Capitol building, climbing through the windows, and attempted to gain access to the floor of Congress and was then met with lethal force, which concluded her life. And this administration decided to give full military honors. And I have seen some Facebook topics or conversations where this was something that is deserved. And as a person who has rendered military honors, both in the Marine Corps and now for the Army, actions were not honorable or deserving of a full military honors, which are usually reserved for those who have retired, those who were in war or killed in war, killed in action, POWs, or those who have, or MIAs, and so the ceremony for those who have not been recovered. But there are also circumstances in which honors or full honors actually will not be rendered, even as a veteran. And treason is one of those situations in where a veteran or a service member could lose their ability to receive military honors despite the nature of their discharge. And the nature of their discharge or anything, one, it's honorable, general under honorable conditions, other than honorable. And then obviously for bad conducts and dishonorable discharges, for certain that you do not receive honors. And the type of action that Ashley Babbitt did on that day was not indicative of someone who is being honorable, nor for someone who should be honored. I think that there has been a push within the last 7 months to continue to blur the lines between right and wrong. And I don't think that, that should be tolerated. So I think it should be called out. So while I do not believe that she should receive anything less than the honorable service that she did provide while in the Air Force, but not to the extent in which was given today. And so, I think that you can, comment below if you disagreed with that position or any other position. And this particular, weekly review or monthly review kind of encapsulated everything, some of the things that we talk about weekly on the Walt Weekly. But we encourage you to like, subscribe, do comment. We'll do our best to try to comment or to reply to each comment, to interact, and so that we can keep these conversations going. So thank you so very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.